I'm not sure why, but this guy seems friendly. But he might shoot me in the back when I least expect it.
Stay nerdy and get your geek on.
What's up, guys? We're coming back at you guys with another Transformers video review. And today we were going to take a look at the Fanstoys FT16, I want to say, Sovereign. And this is going to be a bit of an undertaking. But you guys know me, bit of a glutton for punishment. Let's dig into it. He comes with this, a toy accurate version of his fusion cannon. Very thoughtful accessory. Comes with a matrix on a chain. Makes perfect sense. Comes with an egregious blast effect, which is mostly used for cannon mode. Comes with a flight stand that you will more than likely see being used in the final thoughts. And I think from here on out, whenever I'm missing accessories on figures, I'm just going to go ahead and show you something completely random and one-off. So, in this regard, here's a picture of my puppy. Ain't he cute? Now we're going to get hands-on with this thing. And when I say hands-on, I literally mean hands-on because he is a heavy boy. He has lots of die cast in him. He's got plenty of paint, even though most of mine has chipped off because I got it secondhand. That's just kind of the nature of things. Anyways, the overall figure is fantastic. Like, we're gonna just say that right out. This is a fantastic figure. The cannon mode is it's the cannon mode. This is, you kind of have to do this when you have a G1E Galvatron, and of course, you know, I've got a few panels that don't quite want to line up, but you know, I ain't too worried about it, especially since, you know, I mean, he's in the cannon mode, period, so I'm not too worried about it. But overall, it's a good looking cannon mode. I do genuinely dig it. I think it's great. So, yeah. As you guys know, I normally save size comparisons for the robot mode. This is a terrible segue because we're getting right into the transformation to go to robot mode. Let's begin. First things first, yank off your cannon. Depending on which cannon you are using, open this up and flip out the rear end of the fusion cannon. Come to the bottom of this extremely heavy cannon mode and effectively just kind of get in here and work these panels out, which, trust me, this is a lot harder to do than you would think, but basically, yeah, just do that. Get in there and flip these panels out. Come to where these crystal plastic sections are and just kind of undo these and bring them out to the side like this. Come to the top section right here, and these tabs, you're going to basically lift up and off so you can bring this whole section out and about so you can work with all this. So to basically get started on working with it, you're going to flip these pieces down like this. You're going to split it right down the middle. Although you should probably get these up and out of the way first, but you know, you get it, split it right down the middle. With typical BC fashion, we're going to go ahead and do one side right now, and then the other side will be done off camera. So we're going to open this up and make sure this piece is flipped up. By utilizing this die-cast metal joint right here, you're going to extend the leg, which is on extremely heavy ratchets. Slide this up, fold this up, flip it around, fold this in like this to tab it in right here. And continue to fold it around and make sure that your panel is slid all the way up. So you can just close that whole panel up like that. And then of course, you know, flip any piece around like that. Basically everything you just did here, do the same on the other side. Once you basically got your legs looking like this, you're gonna go ahead and just come underneath here, flip this piece up, and then rotate it around, and that is what's going to make your feet. Hopes and prayers, people, because now we're getting to the most frustrating parts of this entire transformation. Pray for your boy. Take these shoulder sections and pull them out like that. Rotate this entire piece right there. Take this piece and just a little bit of force, bring this down, and that should, well, okay, flip this piece down first, then flip this down, which should in turn allow you to start gearing things like this to get out of the way so we can flip the head out, which is generally usually easier said than done, especially with a figure like this. But we're gonna basically just start moving all this stuff up and out of the way so that we can get at these gray panels like the ones I was trying to push in and get them undone. I'm not going to fuss with this too much because if it doesn't work for me at all in this sequence, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. I got one. Or, you know, maybe if you just move this bit down enough, it'll give you the clearance you need. Flip this piece up, and then this whole conglomerate should just swing around to put the head at the top. Stop being a masochist and click his body back together by making sure this entire cavity is clear. You're going to take this piece, rotate it around, and then push it back up and in. And normally this works. I don't know why it's not now. Oh, I know why. Because I got a camera going. I'm not going to struggle with this for any longer. I'll be right back. You effectively want it to go in there. It's a very finicky amount of things that you have to do to get that in there, which is not fun. But since we already got it here, we're going to go ahead and extend this chest, because the chest panel is originally down like this. You're going to bring it up to reveal this translucent piece, so you can then push it up and peg it into that to form his chest. Let's go ahead and get his back cleaned up just a bit. So we're going to go ahead and just start folding things up back here. This will kind of latch in right here. This will all come down like this. This will just fold down like that. And then these will just kind of chill on the back and then tab into these pieces like this to solidify them into place, to just, you know, in a way give them a proper place to end. That cracked. I just noticed it, that cracked. Well, that's what I get. And then we're just going to go ahead and rotate that. Again, I'm going to show it on one side. I'm going to do the other off camera. So, we're going to bring this shoulder piece up, which is going to allow this to come down. Then you're going to slide it up, latch it in there, and then just... I'm pretty sure. Nope, it just latches in up there. So that's done. Bring the hip bits down. Swivel this. And then flip it up so that it holds this entire piece in place. Now what's left to do is the arms. So you're basically just going to go ahead and open this piece up, swing all this around, flip that down so this whole thing will just sit back here. Rotate only this piece, rotate the hand, and then unlock the elbow. Do basically all that same stuff right there on the other side, and then prep yourself. Before I get them all nice and cleaned up, make sure you pop this on. If you really push it on, it will hold. Just thought I'd show that off. There it is. And I gotta admit, it's beautiful. Like, oh man, like I don't have words for this. I really, truly, honestly do not have words for this. It's a gorgeous figure. It's really, really, really good. Let's get in some size comparisons so that we can actually talk about the figure proper. Size comparison wise, there's MP Hot Rod, MP Rodimus, MP Ultra Magnus, Fanstoys Coot, and Ocular Max Saltus. Quick little addendum on him before we move on. I had messed up during the articulation section in his review because I never realized he actually does have an ab crunch. So if I did say he did not have one, scratch that from the books. He does have one. Again, this was such a well-engineered figure that I never realized that it was there. So disregard what I said in his review. He does have an ab crunch. Back to the morsel at hand. Painting and sculpting wise, this thing is a dream to look at. His display presence is like on a whole nother level. It's great. It is so good. I'm honestly shocked at the fact that this is one of those figures that I managed to get. Like, it's still surreal to me that this is sitting right in front of me, even though I've had him literally since summer of last year. Like, I've had this for a while, and he's great. He is simply spectacular. I don't think that this character is getting done this good and anytime soon by any other company. It's just not possible. It's just not possible. I don't see it. I just don't. Yeah, just whatever. At this point, it's just not possible. I realize I'm repeating myself, but I don't care. Look at this freaking thing. It's gorgeous, even though mine is, again, he's secondhand, so he is missing tons of paint. And that's all because of apparently playware. It's whatever at this point. So yeah, with that said, let's get into the articulation section. Did y'all really think that I was gonna forget to do this? You thought BC was a fool. Head is on a hinge swivel system, so he can look right and left, up and down. He doesn't really get a whole lot of down, but he gets a pretty decent amount up. So you can get pretty decent poses out of the head. Shoulder joints are on extremely stiff ratchet joints going out and in. slightly softer and more buttery going around. He has a bicep swivel, a double hinged elbow, which somehow surprisingly keeps it. This doesn't look wrong to me. Like, I realize this sounds weird to say, but for whatever reason, just in general, the more I mess with this figure, the less this bothers me. When I first got this, yeah, this bugged me to no end. I refused to pose him with like super bends within the elbow, but the more I did it, the more I got used to it. So ultimately, I'm okay with it now. So yeah, c'est la vie. Now these hands are interesting because they are fully articulated. So he has the wrist swivel, but he also has a wrist. He also has the ability to basically tilt his wrist in, and that's actually a transformation joint. But the fact that it carries over into the robot mode, that's pretty dope. But we're not out of the woods yet with the hands because he does have fully. Well, okay, I don't want to say fully articulated. He does have individually articulated fingers. So he has all the fingers on a base pin knuckle right here. He's got 2 pins going into the middle bend of the fingers, which is universal on all the fingers. And then on both the thumbs, he has a ball joint connection and a hinged connection, which allows for a lot of articulation options, which is pretty great for something like this. And for whatever reason, now that I have him in front of a camera, he doesn't want to stand up. He's got a waist joint, which is super clicky, and I love it. And he doesn't, like him, I know for a fact he does not have an ab crunch, and I'm perfectly okay with it due to everything this does for the transformation. Hips go out and in on just a straight hinge. They ratchet forward, and by flipping this hip skirt piece forward, you can kick the leg forward. So he doesn't quite get the full Monty, but he can indeed get a full split. So that's for whatever you wish. Thigh swivel. Double jointed knee, which is beautifully clicky. A bit of a weird little ankle joint because he does have the tilt, but it destroys the sculpt. I have more issues with this than I do with the elbow. But to compensate for that, due to the transformation, you can just tilt that, and that looks natural. He also has a kind of ankle pivot, so to speak. Like, he has a traditional tilt as well as a traditional pivot. But for all that same movement, you get it in this as well, where you can point this down, gives off the same illusion, and you can twist it, gives off the same illusion. The only thing I'm not really sure on is this. I'm not sure what that's for. Like, maybe that's for more ankle movement backwards? I'm pretty sure somebody who knows more could tell me. But that's it. That's basically the whole entire figure as a whole. So overall, let's just, as you can clearly see, I love posing the guy. I can't help that. There's just something about it. Final thoughts wise, let's hit them with the negatives. So one of my major negatives with this has got to be the engineering for the transformation. I realize this is Fanstoys we're talking about, but it still stands to reason that this is a review. Therefore, I still have to mention things that are inherently wrong with the figure. And one of the major glaring negatives of this figure is his transformation. It is frustrating. It is extremely frustrating. And just bearing in mind, I keep most of my guys in their robot modes when they're on the shelf. But when I pull them down, I flip them back into their vehicle modes to do these reviews. So, naturally, I'm sitting here futzing through this transformation and finding myself unenthused by it. It's not a fun figure to flip back and forth. Again, I realize that's the shtick with Fanstoys. You're not meant to play with these. They're meant to go up on a shelf and look pretty. I get that. But what's one thing I always say? It's got to be able to function as a toy as well. If it cannot function as a toy, there's an issue. This does not really function very well as a transforming toy. As a transforming toy. Coin that real quick. My other negatives is obviously the ease of the paint chipping. As I was getting him onto this stand, a lot more of the paint near his waist section just flaked right off. Fanstoys doesn't normally get knocked off. That's knockoff tendency. I'm not sure how to feel about that. I'm really not. And I guess another negative I can really slam on this is a lot of the joints that he has are so ridiculously tight that it makes me nervous to flip this back and forth. That it makes me nervous to pose this thing half the time. My apologies, I brain farted there for a second. But yeah, just articulation wise, some of the joints are so stiff to the point where it is terrifying to move them. You're literally hoping and praying he will not shatter under the pressure of the joints. It's good that the joints are tight, but it's not so good when you're constantly worrying about the figure breaking on you just by moving it. And that's generally all I've got. But clearly enough, this is where I feel the figure absolutely dominates, and that's in its positives. Its display presence is out of this world. It's a gorgeous piece. The paint, where it is applied well, is gorgeous. The sculpt, once you can actually get a look at the figure as a whole, is gorgeous. The articulation on this, aside from the lack of an ab crunch, is fantastic. Those articulated hands are a little weird, but I do still appreciate them. He stands like a champ once you have his balance set up right. He looks intimidating as all hell. You cannot tell me that this would not scare you if it was real. But I feel like one of the major things we need to really take into account with this guy, it's got to be due to the fact that he demands respect. Like, this is a figure it just demands your respect. You cannot walk through any part of my place and not notice him. There is something about the display presence on this guy that truly sets him above and beyond. I really, really, really enjoy this figure. But unfortunately, there is just a few things that knock him down. Really, only 1 star. Which lands him at Platinum Seal. He gets the Platinum Seal, which is still really good by my standards. It's a great figure, and I highly recommend you give it a shot if you do get an opportunity. With that said, before we sign out, I'm going to announce something real quick. Let me get this set back up over here real quick. So, as you guys all know, I love to do these toy reviews as a whole, but one of the things that's been kind of getting me to really actually start doing these more often is I've been talking with a bunch of my friends and getting their opinions on what figures I should do reviews on, what figures I should do, and I would kind of do a whole first to four wins. Well, kind of as a fun little thing to you guys. I think this time around, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be contacting my friends to help me pick who the next review is going to be. I'm announcing right here, right now. I spent way too long with this figure, and I'm personally ashamed of myself for the fact that I still have not reviewed it. Because I got it from a friend of mine a very long time ago. I'm not even sure if I still have the unboxing video up or if I ever even recorded an unboxing video for this. But the figure in talk is MP24 Star Saber. I've been meaning to do that review, and I actually did record quite a few different clips of a review for him where all of them were just my straightforward old school style, but it just I can never convey just how awesome the figure was, especially for those of us who actually love the figure, who love the character. So I'm taking this as an opportunity to kind of walk away from the usual way of how I do business to announce, yes, the next review, the next Transformers toy review is going to be Masterpiece Star Saber. Mark it down on your calendars, guys, because it's happening. It's finally happening. So with that said, guys, I have taken up enough of your time. This is BC saying stay there and you get your geek on. I'll talk to you guys later.